So today I want to talk to you about leveraging data, specifically unstructured data, for the end goal of providing your users a better experience by recommending the right content to those users when they come to your site. I'm going to talk to you about a few different strategies on how to use data to recommend to people, and I'm going to talk to you about how we here at Association Analytics combine those strategies ultimately to serve up the best possible content to your member when they interact with you. Now, who am I? My name is Greg Pollack, and I've been working with and for associations and nonprofits my whole career. I actually started on the association side, and I was tempted over to the dark side, to the vendor side, a few years ago. I've worked at a few different solution providers, everything from mobile apps to online communities. And I'm here at Association Analytics because whenever I talk with executives or content teams or marketing teams or membership about their problems and challenges, it typically boils down to, we have a lot of data. We've been trying to integrate that data in our AMS forever, and it's never really given us what we were looking for. There's got to be a better way. And there certainly is. It's called a data lake. It's called an analytics solution that we deliver to our customers, not only to help them understand their business, but to help them do some pretty fun things like recommending content on their platforms. So I know the title gets a little bit confusing and technical there. We're going to straddle both sides of this, the technical side and the non-technical side. The idea here is we want to provide a recommendations engine. And think about all of the brands that you interact with on a regular basis. Odds are they're recommending content to you when you get to that platform. Now think about the first time you ever interacted with a lot of these platforms, like Amazon or Spotify or Netflix. There's a fairly good chance you didn't fill out an extensive profile, checking boxes and selecting radio buttons on what you like. I never went into Amazon and said, this is what I like. Amazon started analyzing my behavior and ultimately recommended solutions to me based on the behavior I had in their system, not based on the demographics I filled out. So a lot of us right now are operating on a checkbox system. If a member logs in and fills out this checkbox, we're going to show them this content down the road. But what we're not taking into consideration is people are terrible at self-identifying what they really want. Moreover, profiles get stale really quick. And if you look at your data, there's a fairly good chance that most of your profiles aren't filled in. So what are the goals of having a recommendation engine? Our goals are to be able to recommend the right products. What might somebody want to purchase? The right content. What's that next document or PDF or white paper or video we might want to show that user when they show up? Or people. Who are the other people inside our ecosystem that we might want to recommend they connect with? Those are the goals of a recommendation engine. Now, if you think about the goals of your association, it's to connect your constituents, members, non-members ecosystem with products that you're creating that are relevant for them, with free content that'll benefit that industry, and ultimately allowing those people to network with other people that are most relevant for them. So if you think about it, a recommendation engine is actually helping to solve one of the main challenges an association has. There's a lot of content. What's the right piece of information to put in front of you? There's a lot of members. Who should you connect with and talk with on a regular basis? Now, why would you even want to invest in data analytics? Some of the things I'm going to talk about today, you can do in Excel and with Python and with free tools, but some of this you're going to need to make an investment for. And I love this story here of Netflix. Google this, it's a really great story to read, the Netflix contest. Back in 2009, Netflix offered up a prize of $1 million for an organization that could create an algorithm that would predict if somebody liked content more or less. And they give $1 million away to this group who did that. Now you might think back in 2009, giving $1 million prize away for AI might seem a little bit ambitious for Netflix. But think about where they are today. One of the #1 content creators, one of the #1 aggregators of content, and probably the place you go to when you're looking for great content online. Estimates are that this $1 million investment has netted them over $1 billion in revenue every year since then. And I assume it's even higher since I've read that report. So how does Netflix go about recommending content to you? Well, it's a complex algorithm, and they don't tell you everything they're doing, But some of the things we know are they look at how long you watched a specific video, which device you were on. Did you pause that video? And if so, did you come back? Did you watch the whole thing? Did you finish watching that? And if you did you go on to watch the next episode? They're specifically looking for that Netflix effect where we binge watch the entire season of Tiger King in one sitting because we can't stop watching it, right? That's what they're looking for with their content. They're looking for home runs, not just base hits every time. And that ultimately resulted in, it's not just one Adam Sandler movie. They purchased a whole series of movies from Adam Sandler. More of them are coming out this Christmas. Why are they buying more movies from Adam Sandler? Is it because they think he's the funniest guy ever and makes the best movies ever? I'll tell you, they're not the best movies ever. I'm not gonna lie. I just watched one of them. It's a detective movie. It was okay, but they got me to watch it. That's the point. And I'm probably gonna watch that Christmas movie because it's going to be recommended to me when I get to their site. They're using the data, things they know about us, and insights they can get to recommend the right content about that. All right, so why aren't we all doing this? Why isn't every association just taking advantage of AI-driven recommendation engines right now? Why aren't we doing that? And the answer is, this is kind of hard. The first challenge we run into is our data typically lives in silos. It's typically scattered across multiple systems. We don't necessarily have taxonomies that work together. The same way we tag content in our community is probably not the same way we tag content on our website, and it's probably not the same way we're tagging content in our event system, right? But then we realize that the amount of data we have to deal with on a regular basis is growing, not only just in volume, but also in complexity, right? Think about the data an association had 10 or 20 years ago versus the data they have at their fingertips now. Now that we're doing virtual events, there's even more data we have to process. And then we run into that taxonomy issue where we don't have good data governance policies. I talked to so many associations who panicked, who said, let's send out Zoom links so everyone can jump on this meeting, but they never tracked which members attended or not. That's a bad data governance policy. If we're gonna have members attend a virtual event, we gotta at least know who they are. And then we run into the problem that this data is scattered, it's unstructured, it's not governed correctly, and we can't get good insights out of it. We can't be fast and agile with our data because of these challenges we've created for ourselves. Now, when we talk about data, where are we thinking about getting data from? And I would guarantee that every association has more data at their fingertips than they can think about. Take out a piece of paper and jot down all of the places you currently have data and what data you have in those systems and how it connects to other systems. This is a great exercise. Ask other departments, where do you keep your data? Do you have Excel spreadsheets? Do you have systems? Do you have platforms I don't even know about? But here are some of the common things you're looking for. Obviously, your database, your AMS, your CRM, whatever you want to call it, that is a primary source for your data. Go look for it there. Then we want to talk about things like your marketing automation system. What links is Greg clicking on? We want to know your event system. What events is Greg going to? Your learning management system. What courses is Greg signing up for? But here's where we get into the real details. It's not just the structured data, it's also what we're going to refer to as the unstructured data. Unstructured data are things you cannot filter or sort in Microsoft Excel. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you a couple of them. When I finish that course and I take the survey at the end and you ask me how I thought and what I felt about that course, that's unstructured data. Think about on the right-hand side here. Every time somebody interacts with you in your online community, unstructured data. When they submit a ticket with you, or they go on your website and chat with you. When you do that survey, surveys are probably the #1 place we abandon critical data. We do the survey, we put the answers into Excel, somebody makes a PowerPoint off of it, we all sit in that meeting and we look at the PowerPoint and we nod our heads and we go, those are really good insights. And next year when we go to have our event, we completely forget about every one of those insights. We've abandoned that data. All of that data is good and it's critical and we can start to use it. Now I talked about this unstructured data, and it depends on the size of your organization, but somewhere between 70 and 80% of your data is probably unstructured data. Think about all those valuable insights you're missing out on. Not only are you not leveraging that data, when we build AI models and look at the different variables, we find that the structured data, the checkboxes they filled out, are significantly less valuable than the unstructured data. We find that the behavioral data those people are doing, they're leaving behind, the footprints in the sand, we find that that data tends to be significantly more valuable than the checkbox I filled out 5 years ago when I first signed up for your organization. All right, now let's get a little bit technical for a minute. How can you engineer a workflow to get all this data in? Well, the one thing we have to do is get the data out of those source systems. So we need to have data connectors, exports, APIs, extract tools to pull the data from the source systems and put it in a common place. And these waves here, that's my data lake. So a data lake, a data warehouse, a big Excel spreadsheet if you have to, is a great place to start combining all those data sets together. Now we want to start realizing that some of this data is around our members, around our events, around our orders. We have to start manipulating and massaging that data. Now there's processes called ETL, where we extract the data, we manipulate and transform it, and we load it into a more structured place, maybe even like a data warehouse. Then we're going to start using some of those tools out there, your Power BIs, your Tableaus, your Clarabridges, your natural language processing and sentiment software, your market basket analysis. We're going to write scripts in Python, and we're going to start outputting results that are both designed for the humans to analyze, but also designed for the computers to analyze. As we talked about with that uncanny valley, the human element is critical here. Allowing humans to look at the data and decide what's going on is important, but at the same time, we need to be conscious that the volume of data and interactions we're going to have is going to immediately go far beyond what the average human can do. You can't have a staff member be ready every time somebody comes to your website to serve the right content to them. At some point, we've got to let AI take over and drive those decisions for us. We've been throwing around some of these terms. I go to a lot of sessions where they talk about AI, and they don't actually talk about AI. So I want to define some of these terms for us and how we're using them, but what they actually mean. So AI is a very simple term. All it means is we're creating intelligent machines. We're creating a machine that does something smart for us. There you go. Then we talk about a discipline with inside AI, which is machine learning. And this is all about learning from experience, right? If a member comes to our website and clicks on these 2 links and leaves, maybe we should try different links. Maybe we should try a different pattern. If we send out an email and no one clicks on it, should we keep sending that email? These are great examples of just simple machine learning. A really easy one to understand is a lot of marketing automation platforms have A/B testing with a winner take all. This is a very basic version of machine learning, right? We've programmed it. Try subject line A and try subject line B, learn from that experience which subject line was more successful, and send the rest of the emails with that subject line. It's a very basic version of AI and machine learning. Next up, we want to get into NLP, which is natural language processing. And this is going to be critical because all of those places where we're capturing unstructured data, the member's not checking a box that we can directly map to a result. The member's typing in whatever they think. They're expressing their feelings and their insights, and we need to translate that from random text into insights that we can start using. So we've got some of our basic terms defined. Let's talk about 4 different strategies that you can start using to recommend content. Now we're taking a hybrid approach. We're using all of these strategies at once, using ranking and scoring and prioritization, but I'm going to walk you through all 4 of these. One of them you can start with today is just considering what's most popular, this bottom one. What is the most popular piece of content? Let's put that at the top. What is currently trending? What are people currently looking at and talking about? Let's put that at the top. So this might seem simple, but recommending what's popular is an easy step to get towards recommending the right thing to your members. The next 3 I'm going to go through here are a little bit more complex. You're going to need some tools to actually be successful with them. So let's start at the top is collaborative filtering. We're going to call this a network analysis. What do similar individuals do? Now we can do this the simple way. We have 4 marketing personas. When marketing persona A logs in, we look at the content they're consuming, we look at what's popular for them, and when other people with persona A log in, we show them similar content. What does other people like me do? I should do that as well. The second piece is content-based, and this is recommending based on similarity. Now we're going to need some NLP here. We're going to look at the content you regularly access, and we're going to recommend content that's similar to that. Now, this typically requires a good taxonomy, but let's be honest, people never tag their content, and if they do a bad job of it. We need to use that NLP to extract the themes of the content, specifically if it's user-generated, and then use that taxonomy to recommend the next thing. The third thing I want to talk about is what's called an affinity analysis, and it's commonly referred to as a market basket analysis. I'm going to dive into that in 1 second. So let's look at each one of these. We're going to talk about the complex way to do it, and then a very simple way to do it. A network analysis, or a product network analysis, is all about looking at the products people purchase and how those things connect with each other. Now, this is a fairly complex visualization. Each one of these circles is a course that this association sells. The lines that connect those courses are the next course someone buys if they bought that first course. And then the circles are typically where people start and where they progress. So if you look at this small circle in the middle, these are the courses people typically buy first from your organization. If they buy one of those courses in the first circle, they're very likely to go on to buy a course in that second circle. And if they buy a course in the second circle, they're very likely to buy a course in the third circle. All right, this gets complex. So how do we leverage this just with what we have at our fingertips today? Run a report of all the products you sell. Find the most successful product that most people buy and find out what else they buy. If someone buys product A, give me a list of everything else they bought. Now, if you have access to it, download all this data into your data warehouse or lake, run some Python scripts on this data, and actually build this analysis. And then what do we do with this? If a member comes to our website, do not recommend a product in that outside circle. That's not the best place to start. Recommend a product in that inside circle. Then look at the frequency a member purchases something. Every 2 or 3 months, a member buys something from our shopping cart. In 2 or 3 months, send that member an email with the next thing in the circle outside of it. You bought course 101. Here's course 102. That's what people typically buy next. Eliminate all that confusion with the millions of products you offer and just tell people this is what you should do next. All right, next one we want to talk about is recommending similar content. So first up, we've got to know what the heck they're looking at, which is where we're going to use text analytics. We're going to get sentiment. We're going to get level of effort. We're going to get actual trending topics. What are the things people in this organization, in this community are talking about on a regular basis? And we're going to take those and we're going to say, okay, this is the most popular topic right now. We need to get this in front of all of our members as quick as we can. But we don't just want to look at what topics are trending. We want to look at how those topic trends change over time. Is this an emerging trend that we need to get in front of everybody and educate them on? Or is this trend sort of on the decline and we're looking for the next emerging trend? Maybe we're not recommending this stale content. We're looking for the next piece of content. But it's not just a holistic look at what's popular. It's a persona-based look at what's popular. What are people with this position and this job title looking for? What are people in this type of membership looking for? So now we not only want to understand what they're talking about, but we want to connect that back to who's talking about it. So we add some complexity. We not only need to decipher the content, we need to then attach those interactions to people. Who was the person who looked at that? What was their demographics and their persona? And how can I leverage that if Greg looked at it? Well, certainly Frank wants to look at it. Frank's very similar to Greg in our data model. We can connect those 2 points together. And then the last thing we can do, this fourth one, is what's called a market basket analysis. So I love this simple metaphor. You're at the shopping mall, you're at the shopping center, you have your shopping cart full of items, and you notice that some of these items are in someone's basket. And you want to recommend the next item they want to put in those baskets. So on the surface, it might seem like these are just a bunch of random items that don't have any connection to each other. But let's think about it. If somebody shows up with a margarita mix and they show up with the Tostitos chips, but they don't have the salsa in their bag, you immediately make that connection. Hey, you probably need to buy some salsa. These things fit together. You're going to be pretty upset when you get to that party and there's nothing to dip your chip in. Now, how do we translate that to our virtual world? Imagine your member comes to your shopping cart and adds the chips and salsa? What's the chance we should recommend the margarita mix, right? What's the chance we should make that connection for them and recommend the product they may or may not even know they're supposed to buy next? The recommendation engine is all about making things easier for people, giving them the right things at the right time to buy. And you hate it when you get home and you don't have the salsa. You're gonna have to run back out to get that stuff. You're gonna miss the party. All right, so now we've got a framework. We understand why recommending content is important. We understand some of the technical things behind the scenes that we're gonna need to do to recommend that content. Then we start to understand what are some tactics we can use. We talked about recommending popular content, recommending things other people like me have bought, recommending other content that I've looked at. We've recommended things based on a market basket and a network analysis. We've done all these complex techniques. The end goal of this in our world is a flexible API that can connect with any of those platforms you have, that allows us to recommend personal content, whether it's on the website, it's in the shopping cart, it's on the LMS, it's in the email we're about to send. It's about pushing the right content out to the right person to give them the insights on what they need to do next. Imagine going to Amazon and it just lists every product they own in a big list. You're like, Amazon has billions of products at this point. I can't possibly find what I should be purchasing from Amazon next. Now imagine the actual experience you get, right? You go to Amazon and they go, hey, people are looking for Christmas gifts for their significant other. These are the types of things you should be buying her. Here you go, put these in your shopping cart. We've made it easy for you. And then think about the experience that your association is giving to the prospect who shows up on your website. What are we even telling that prospect when they get to the website, right? How are we funneling them to the right content? Even worse so, the member who's been with you for 20 years now, and they have a significant amount of history with you. You know a lot about this person. You know every course they've purchased, you know every event they've been to, you know all the content they've downloaded, you know everything they've been talking about in your community. And you deliver that person the same generic, you know, web experience that you're giving everybody else. If you're doing that, I'm gonna say it, you're failing to personalize that content. You're not delivering the value proposition your association has, which is providing a valuable member benefit to them as easy and as seamless as you can. We need to be doing these things to be able to have a modern association that's delivering modern solutions to our members. All right, let's get back and let's look at some sexy software here. This software is designed for an API output, but we need to test it and make sure it makes sense. So what are we looking at? This is popular trending products. If we're gonna sell something to somebody, these are the products that are super popular right now. We should focus on getting this product out in front of all of our members as quickly as we can. If somebody puts one specific product in their shopping cart, we need to understand the details of this product, how it works, what type of product it is, how it's tagged, and we need to recommend a couple things. One is, if a random person comes and puts this in our shopping cart, what else are we gonna tell them to buy? What are we gonna recommend they also consider? Or we need to know if we're gonna email people about this product, we're gonna promote this, who should we promote this to? These are the people right now we should be promoting this product to because they're most likely to buy it. Don't blast email the world this product, target these people with it. Or we zoom into a specific person, right? Greg comes to your website and logs in, and we want to put the best content, the best products, the best recommendations, the best people in front of him. These are those answers. When this person comes to your website, we should recommend this specific content because it's most likely to move the needle and get them to take that action we're looking for. I think that might be my last slide. All right, so let's break this down. We've got 1 minute to finalize everything here. Recommending content is key to success. All of the major brands you interact with are doing this on a regular basis, and the dinosaurs like Blockbuster who didn't are gone. Investing in analytics is a decision we all need to make. Think about that Netflix example. A $1 million investment resulted in over $1 billion a year in return, and even more, Netflix is one of the most popular content creators out there. On your journey to investing in this, there are simple, easy things you can do along the way. You can look at popular products. You can use Python scripts to pull data out and manipulate it and create analyses. You can use popular tools to create tag clouds and put them in front of your content creators. Tie those tag clouds to personas. So when they're creating content for a specific persona, they know which direction to lead. They're not guessing what those people want. But ultimately, we need to embrace the idea that this technology is here to stay. The amount of data your association has is not going to get smaller. The complexity of that data is not going to get easier. We need to have a strategy on what to do with our data, where to store it, and what actions we should be taking with our data. And that plan needs to happen years ago. If you're not on top of that right now, you're behind. You need to start playing catch up. We need to be better with our data. Start with data governance, start with taxonomies that are unique across your entire ecosystem, and start by using these tactics to get better insights out of your data. All right, so had 30 minutes. Let's open it up for questions. Talked about a lot of concepts out there. Frank, any questions from you or the team there? Well, community watching, any questions?
Although I think you emphasized it quite strongly, I would still want to emphasize again that, you know, what really hits me over the head, and I think should hit everybody over the head, is that the amount of data that we're collecting is only increasing and increasingly increasing. And, you know, we can't ignore that. We have to do something about it. And we really can't do it as humans alone. We need technology, and specifically AI technology, to really help us understand that data. And not just understand it, but utilize it. And I'll take what I've known throughout, you know, 20 years of working with associations and some data. You know, Google Analytics is the perfect example of where lots of data gets collected, and we look at it and analyze it, but few organizations then take the next step to do something about it. And, you know, that model's got to shift in order for us to really move forward as organizations in the modern world. So thanks for really emphasizing that, Greg.
Yeah, Frank, our CEO Julie has a really good quote. She says, data and analytics without action is just fancy artwork. Just hang it on the wall and be excited that it looks pretty, but taking the action is the critical step there.
Greg, that's a great segue into the first question. We have two questions that popped in for you. And the first one is, this is fantastic. What do I do? How do I get started? How can I take advantage of this now?
Great question. So a few barriers to entry here. One is executive buy-in. Often executives have an old school approach to this and, we don't need all that technology. We're good the way we are. It's always been working. We need to start getting easy wins to show them that when we take these approaches, it's better off and it's more successful, to get the ultimate commitment of investment. But then the second piece is find the low-hanging fruit. Go after the easy things that you can do without much effort. Step one, be a good caretaker of your data. Be a good steward of your data. Create taxonomies across the board. No longer rely on, well, I get an Excel spreadsheet from my events team every couple months and I look at that. No, that's not acceptable. We need to have good taxonomies across the board. We need to write down every piece of data we collect, and we need to map it to what we're doing with it. And we need to create a plan and execute on it. And then understand that data and analytics is not a light switch where you go from nothing to everything overnight. It's a process like everything else. Baby step your way in, start getting those things in order, start finding wins and successes, and start making the case that this is something, you know, you need a chief digital officer, you need a chief analytics officer, you need a chief insight officer. Somebody at that C-level department needs to have their eye on this and really focused on leveraging the data. That's the future of every business we interact with.
Those are great suggestions, Greg. We've got time for one more quick question. For those of you that have additional questions, please feel free to go ahead and send those our way. At the wrap up at the end, we can answer additional questions. But the last one before we take our next quick break, Greg, what if I don't have access to AI and advanced analytics to support a project like this?
Sure. I think there are lots of free tools we mentioned already that you can start doing to do this. To be honest, Power BI is the visualization engine we use, and it's Excel plus. Get started in Excel, right? Go to your website and your Google Analytics and take every keyword that's been searched for and make a tag cloud with weighting on sizes. Show that to other departments and inform them of what's going on. Make data tell a story. And you can do this very simply using Excel and free tools. But the key here is the human brain cannot understand data as it lives in these source systems. We're not good at looking at an Excel spreadsheet with 100 terms in it and coming up with any insights. You've got to turn that data into a visualization, and you've got to be able to tell a story with that data. I was on a really good session yesterday, And they said, you know, our executives are hesitant to let data tell them what to do. And I said, here's the key. It's not data-driven decisions. The data doesn't tell you what to do. It's data-informed decisions. The data informs the humans and gives you recommendations on what you should be doing. Take your data, build a visualization that tells a story, and inform the decision makers about what's going on and empower them to make a decision. They'll feel better about it because they're more confident about their decision, and they're going to come back to you time and time again, because the next decision they make, they go, it'd be really great if we had some data to help back this up or help inform our decision. And now we've got a feedback loop where we're just getting better and better at this every time, and we're baby stepping our way into an AI-driven recommendation engine, providing relevant content on our website, just like Netflix.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you.